The invitation to my cousin Diana's wedding at the Crystal Bay Resort sat on my desk alongside acquisition reports for 3 new luxury properties in the Caribbean. The irony wasn't lost on me. While my family thought I worked as a mid-level hotel manager, I actually owned 17 luxury resorts worldwide, including the very one where Diana was planning her exclusive wedding. Ms. Alexandra Stone? My assistant Catherine knocked softly. The Crystal Bay manager called. Your cousin's wedding planner is making some unusual demands. I smiled, thinking of Diana's last family gathering comment. Oh, Alex still works at that budget hotel in the city. We must remember to invite her, though she probably can't afford the resort stay. Let them have whatever they want, I instructed. But maintain the cover. As far as they know, I'm just another guest. For now. Catherine hesitated. There's something else. Your cousin is insisting on the Ocean View Presidential Suite. The one you usually use when you're there. Perfect. I looked out my penthouse office window, overlooking the city where my family thought I lived in a tiny apartment. Let's give her exactly what she wants. The Stone family dynamics had always been interesting. While my cousins Diana and Marcus flaunted their moderate success with designer labels and leased luxury cars, I'd quietly built Stone Hospitality Group into one of the largest luxury resort companies in the world. Not that they knew that. They still thought I was the poor cousin who couldn't quite make it. My phone buzzed. Aunt Patricia, Diana's mother. Alexandra darling, about the wedding. We know it might be difficult for you to afford the resort stay. Perhaps you could just come for the ceremony? I thought about the meeting I'd had that morning, approving a $50 million renovation for Crystal Bay's West Wing. The same wing where Diana's exclusive wedding would be held. I'll manage somehow, I texted back, enjoying the private joke. The wedding was 3 days away, and I'd been watching the family drama unfold through daily reports from Crystal Bay's management. Diana had been making increasingly elaborate demands, dropping hints about her connections to ensure special treatment. Miss Stone. Catherine appeared again. Your aunt just called the resort directly, trying to get a discount on Diana's booking. She mentioned you work in the hotel industry. I laughed softly. What did they tell her? That they'd have to check with the owner. Catherine's eyes twinkled. She's now demanding to speak with A.R. Stone personally. Or Stone, my professional identity. Alexandra Rose Stone, the mysterious hotel magnate who'd built an empire while maintaining almost complete anonymity. The industry knew the name but not the face. My family knew the face but not the name. Let her wait, I decided. Some revelations are better served at the perfect moment. I picked up the latest report from Crystal Bay. Diana had been bragging to her friends about having the most expensive suite at the resort. She had no idea that the Ocean View Presidential Suite was actually my private residence when I stayed there, designed to my exact specifications. My phone buzzed again. This time my mother, the only person who knew the truth about my success. Honey, are you sure you want to let them keep believing you're struggling? Diana's being particularly cruel about your budget lifestyle. Just a few more days, Mom, I replied. Sometimes the best lessons come from unexpected teachers. I turned to the wall of monitors showing live feeds from all my properties. Crystal Bay was my first acquisition, bought 6 years ago when Diana had mockingly suggested I aim higher than budget hotels. The purchase had been complicated, requiring me to maintain anonymity to avoid family interference. Miss Stone, Catherine called through the intercom. Your cousin Marcus just arrived at Crystal Bay. He's demanding an upgrade to the executive suite, claiming he's friends with the owner. I switched to Crystal Bay's security feed, watching my cousin throw his usual tantrum at the front desk. Marcus, Diana's brother, had spent years building his luxury lifestyle consulting business, mainly by exaggerating his connections to wealthy clients. Tell them to upgrade him, I instructed. But put him in the South Wing. The South Wing, currently undergoing subtle preparations for a complete renovation next month. Nothing obviously wrong, just small imperfections that would drive Marcus crazy. Slightly delayed room service, temperamental air conditioning, a view partially blocked by scaffolding. My phone lit up with another text from Diana. Alex, darling, I heard you actually managed to book a room. How resourceful. Though you might be more comfortable at the Highway Motel nearby. This is a luxury resort after all. I glanced at the ownership papers on my desk, thinking about the moment approaching when they'd all learn who really owned their precious luxury resort. But timing was everything, in business and in lessons about humility. "I'll manage," I texted back, adding, "though I might be a little late to the rehearsal dinner. Work obligations, you understand." "Of course," came her reply. "Still at that budget hotel? You really should consider a career change, darling. Not everyone is meant for the luxury hospitality industry." If she only knew that at that very moment, I was finalizing the purchase of another 5-star resort in Dubai, adding to Stone Hospitality Group's growing international portfolio. The budget hotel where they thought I worked? I owned that too, along with the entire chain. Sometimes the best cover story is the one people want to believe. I pulled up the guest list for Diana's wedding, noting how many of the exclusive attendees were actually my business associates, none of whom knew their mysterious so would be there as the poor cousin. "Catherine," I called, "make sure my usual suite is perfect for Diana. Let's give her exactly the luxury experience she thinks she deserves." After all, sometimes the best revenge isn't about proving people wrong. Sometimes it's about letting them prove themselves wrong in the most spectacular way possible. And in 3 days at her perfect luxury wedding, my dear cousin Diana would learn exactly who owned her fairy tale venue. Sometimes success doesn't need to announce itself. Sometimes it just needs to wait for the perfect moment to be revealed. The day before the wedding, I arrived at Crystal Bay Resort through the private entrance usually reserved for A.R. Stone. The irony of sneaking into my own property to maintain my cover wasn't lost on me. "Miss Stone," Thomas, the resort manager, greeted me discreetly. "Your cousin has been quite demanding. She's currently in your suite complaining about the champagne selection." "My personal collection isn't good enough for her?" I asked, amused. The suite's wine cellar held vintages worth more than Diana's annual income. She insists the Dom Perignon isn't exclusive enough. She's demanding to speak with the owner about upgrading to something more prestigious. I checked the security feed on my tablet. Diana was in my suite, surrounded by her bridesmaids, critiquing every detail of the $15,000 per night accommodation that I'd personally designed. "The owner simply must do better," she was saying. "Daddy's friends stay at Crystal Bay all the time. They know A.R. Stone personally." I suppressed a smile. Uncle Robert, Diana's father, had never met A.R. Stone, though he'd claimed otherwise at every family gathering for the past 5 years. "Alex." Diana's voice cut through my thoughts as she spotted me in the lobby. "Oh darling, you actually came? Though." She paused, eyeing my simple black dress. "Perhaps you should use the service entrance? Guests here have certain standards." "Noted," I replied calmly, thinking of the ownership papers in my briefcase. "How's the presidential suite?" "Adequate," she sniffed. "Though hardly what I expected. I've been trying to reach the owner about some necessary upgrades. Obviously you wouldn't understand given your limited exposure to luxury." Just then Marcus appeared, looking irritated. "This place is going downhill. My room's air conditioning is temperamental, and room service took 12 minutes longer than promised." "Really?" Diana looked horrified. "But Crystal Bay is supposed to be perfect. Daddy assured me A.R. Stone runs the tightest ship in the industry." "About that," Marcus added, "I dropped Father's name at the front desk, claiming we know A.R. Stone personally. They seemed unimpressed." I watched Thomas struggling to maintain his professional composure. He, like all senior staff, knew exactly who I was. "Miss Stone," he said carefully, "would you like to see your room? It's in the north wing." Diana laughed. "Oh, Alex can't afford the north wing. We put her in the garden view section. Much more appropriate for her budget." "Actually," I replied, "I have a suite." The north wing contained my second private residence in the resort, unknown even to most staff. "Impossible," Marcus scoffed. "Those suites cost more than you make in a month at that budget hotel." Catherine appeared right on cue. "Miss Stone, sorry to interrupt, but there's an urgent call from Dubai about the new acquisition." "Dubai?" Diana's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose. "Why would you be involved with anything in Dubai?" "Work matter," I said vaguely. "Hotel industry stuff. Nothing you'd find interesting." "Speaking of hotels," Marcus cut in, "Father's been trying to invest in some luxury properties. He claims he's close to a deal with Stone Hospitality Group." I thought about the investment proposal from Uncle Robert that had been sitting unopened on my desk for weeks. He'd sent it to A.R. Stone, hoping to leverage his non-existent connection. How fascinating, I murmured. Yes, we're all quite connected in the luxury hospitality world, Diana preened. Unlike some people who never managed to rise above mid-level management. Just then my phone buzzed, an alert about Uncle Robert arriving at the resort. The security feed showed him at the front desk, throwing around A.R. Stone's name and demanding special treatment for his daughter's wedding. Excuse me, I said, I need to handle something. I walked to my private elevator, enjoying Diana's outraged gasp as Thomas cleared the way for me. That's for premium guests only, she called after me. In my North Wing suite, I pulled up the resort's management system on my laptop. Diana had spent the morning making increasingly expensive demands, assured that her connection to the owner would cover the costs. Catherine, I called, please inform the wedding planner that all of Miss Stone's requests have been approved. Every single one. Even the last-minute helicopter arrival for the ceremony? Especially that. I smiled, thinking of the Stone Hospitality Group logo that would be clearly visible on the helicopter's side. My phone lit up with another text from my mother. Darling, Robert's telling everyone he's meeting A.R. Stone tomorrow before the wedding. Please tell me you're finally going to end this charade. All in good time, I replied. First, let's see how much more they can dig themselves in. Through the security feeds, I watched my family members arrive one by one, each trying to outdo the others with their claims of knowing the mysterious A.R. Stone. Uncle Robert was now telling anyone who would listen about his private investment meetings with the resort owner. Diana had gathered her bridesmaids in my presidential suite, giving them a tour as if she owned the place. Of course, once Daddy's investment deal goes through, we'll practically be part owners. A.R. Stone clearly recognizes our family's status. I switched off the feed, turning instead to the final preparations for tomorrow's revelation. Sometimes success is sweetest when served with a side of perfectly timed humility. And tomorrow at Diana's fairy tale wedding, her poor cousin would finally show the family exactly what success really looks like. The morning of Diana's wedding dawned perfectly as I'd ensured it would. I'd had the resort's weather monitoring system track conditions for weeks, planning the ceremony time to coincide with the most picturesque sunset. I dressed carefully in my North Wing suite, choosing a simple but exquisitely tailored Chanel dress, one that Diana would recognize from her countless failed attempts to purchase from their exclusive collection. The irony that I sat on Chanel's board of directors wasn't lost on me. Miss Stone, Catherine appeared with my morning briefings. Your uncle is in the lobby demanding an emergency meeting with A.R. Stone before the ceremony. He's making quite a scene. I checked the security feed. Uncle Robert, red-faced and gesturing wildly, was telling the front desk staff about his personal friendship with me, or rather with A.R. Stone. Let him continue, I instructed. How's Diana handling the morning? She's in the presidential suite, complaining about the helicopter being white instead of gold. She's insisting that A.R. Stone personally promised her father a gold helicopter. I smiled, remembering all the family events where Diana had showcased her latest designer purchases while pitying my limited lifestyle. Is everything ready for the ceremony? Yes, including the special announcement you requested. The wedding was scheduled for sunset at the resort's private beach, where I'd had a crystal pavilion constructed, a new permanent feature that Diana thought had been built specially for her wedding. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Alex, where are you? Diana's furious that you missed the morning preparations. Though perhaps it's better. Your presence might make things awkward with the luxury crowd. I ignored the message, instead watching the security feeds as my family members arrived in their designer outfits, each trying to outdo the others with their displays of wealth. The same relatives who'd spent years mocking my modest career were now bragging about their connections to my company. Miss Stone, Thomas appeared at my door. It's time. The ceremony starts in an hour, and your cousin is demanding A.R. Stone's presence. Perfect, I said, picking up a folder containing ownership documents and board meeting minutes. Let's not keep them waiting. I took the private elevator to the beach level, emerging just as Diana was having another meltdown about the champagne selection. She demanded bottles from my personal collection, wines that weren't available for public purchase. This is unacceptable, she was saying. Daddy promised that his friend A.R. Stone would provide the best. Where is the owner? I demand to speak with them immediately. Your wish is granted, I said quietly, stepping into view. Diana whirled around, her custom-designed dress rustling. Alex, this isn't the time for your... What are you wearing? She stared at my Chanel dress, recognition and confusion fighting on her face. The same collection you tried to order last month, I confirmed. The one they told you was reserved for special clients only. That's impossible, she whispered. They said those pieces were only for their board members and major shareholders. I finished for her. Yes, I know. I was in that board meeting. Uncle Robert chose that moment to storm over. Alexandra, where have you been? We're having a crisis here. The owner of this resort is ignoring my calls, after all our personal dealings. Personal dealings? I raised an eyebrow. Like the investment proposal you sent to A.R. Stone 3 weeks ago? The one sitting unopened on my desk. The silence that followed was deafening. Diana's perfect makeup couldn't hide her growing shock. Marcus, who had been complaining about his room to anyone who would listen, froze mid-sentence. Your desk. Uncle Robert stammered. I nodded to Thomas, who stepped forward. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Alexandra Rose Stone, owner of Crystal Bay Resort and CEO of Stone Hospitality Group. The chaos that erupted was almost worth the 6 years of hiding my success. Diana's bridesmaids, who'd been mockingly offering to help me network with the luxury crowd, suddenly looked like they might faint. This is a joke, Diana finally managed. You work at a budget hotel. You can barely afford. I own that budget hotel, I interrupted. Along with 16 other luxury resorts worldwide. That presidential suite you've been critiquing? It's my private residence when I'm here. Those wines you called inadequate? My personal collection. Marcus stepped forward, his face pale. The Dubai deal everyone's been talking about. Stone Hospitality Group's newest acquisition, I confirmed. Which I was finalizing while you were complaining about your room's air conditioning, in the wing scheduled for renovation next month, by the way. Uncle Robert sank into a nearby chair. All these years when I was claiming to know A.R. Stone. You did know me, I said quietly. You just didn't know you knew me. You were all so convinced that success had to look a certain way that you never noticed it standing right in front of you. The morning sun streamed through the windows of Sweet Dreams Bakery, my little shop in downtown Chicago. I wiped down the marble counters, breathing in the scent of fresh croissants and artisan bread. My family would be arriving soon for their monthly breakfast visit, a tradition they maintained mostly to remind me of my wasted potential. Right on schedule, the bell chimed. Mom, Dad, and my cousin Isabella swept in, designer bags and disapproving looks in place. Elena, darling, Mom sighed, eyeing my flour-dusted apron. The shop looks quaint. As always. Isabella smoothed her Chanel suit. Still making cupcakes? How sweet. The condescension dripped like cheap frosting. If they only knew about the meetings I'd been having all week, about the contracts sitting in my office safe. Coffee, I offered, leading them to their usual table. We just got a special Brazilian roast. From your little supplier? Dad asked, checking his Rolex. You know, the Martinez Group's coffee division could get you better rates. I bit back a smile, remembering the acquisition papers I'd signed yesterday. For that same coffee division. I manage, I said simply, pouring their drinks. How's the family business? Expanding, Isabella preened. We just bought 3 more luxury hotel chains. Though I suppose that's a bit beyond your scale. The shop's bell chimed again. My assistant, Sarah, appeared at my elbow. Ms. Martinez? Your 9 a.m. is here early. I checked the time. Perfect. Send him in, I said, straightening my apron. No point changing into business attire now. Let them see me exactly as they'd always dismissed me. The door opened and Marcus Chin, CEO of Luxury Suites International, strode in. His appearance caused my family to freeze mid-sip. Ms. Martinez, he greeted me warmly. The acquisition paperwork is complete. All 300 locations are now officially under your umbrella. Mom's teacup slipped from her fingers, shattering on the marble floor. Wonderful, I replied calmly. And the rebranding timeline? Our marketing team is ready. By next month, every luxury sweets location worldwide will bear the Sweet Dreams name and your recipes. Isabella choked on her coffee. Worldwide. I turned to my shell-shocked family. Oh, did I forget to mention? My little bakery just acquired the largest luxury dessert chain in the world. Marcus pulled out a tablet displaying global locations. Your new empire, Ms. Martinez. 300 stores across 27 countries. He scrolled through gleaming storefronts in Paris, Tokyo, Dubai. Though I must say, none of them can match the original recipes from this little shop. Dad's face had gone pale. Elena, how? Remember all those silly experiments in my kitchen? I gestured to the display cases filled with my creations. They weren't just recipes. They were prototypes. Each one tested, refined, and protected by international patents. Patents. Mom whispered. 57 of them, I confirmed. My little cream puff technique? Revolutionary enough that luxury hotels fought over exclusive rights. That simple chocolate cake you mocked? The molecular gastronomy behind it is now studied in culinary schools worldwide. Isabella stood up shakily. But you're just a baker. A baker who built a silent empire, Marcus interjected. Ms. Martinez's innovations have transformed modern pastry science. When she approached us about the acquisition. Actually, I corrected gently, you approached me. 6 times as I recall. He smiled ruefully. 7. Your patents were too valuable, your techniques too revolutionary. When you finally agreed to buy us instead. Buy. Dad sputtered. With what money? I walked to my office, returning with a folder. You remember last year's cute little cookbook? The one you didn't bother to read. I slid out a royalty statement. It's been the best-selling culinary text in 12 languages. And that was just the beginning. Mom picked up the statement with trembling hands. These numbers. Paid for the first 100 acquisitions, I nodded. The patents funded the rest. Turns out innovation in luxury pastry is quite profitable. Sarah appeared again. Ms. Martinez? Tokyo is on the line about the new flagship location. And Paris wants to confirm your arrival for next month's Global Chef Symposium. Tell Tokyo I'll call back in an hour. And confirm Paris. I'll be keynoting the symposium. Isabella sank back into her chair. You're keynoting the Global Pastry Symposium? But that's the most prestigious culinary event in the world? I finished, wiping my hands on my apron. Yes, I know. I've headlined it 3 times already. Though you were probably too busy mocking my little baking hobby to notice. Marcus checked his watch. The press release goes live in an hour. You'll be front page of the Financial Times by lunch. Perfect timing, I smiled. Just in time for my family's monthly reminder about my wasted potential. Dad was staring at the acquisition papers, at the numbers that made his luxury hotel deals look small. All this time, while we thought you were just playing with flour and sugar? I took off my apron, revealing a tailored designer dress underneath. Sometimes the best success is built quietly, one perfect pastry at a time. The shop's bell chimed again. A film crew from the Food Network entered, followed by a team from Forbes. Your interview is ready, Ms. Martinez, Sarah announced. They want to discuss your revolution of the luxury dessert industry. I turned to my family one last time. You should try the croissants before you leave. They're the same ones now served in every 5-star hotel in Europe. I paused. Including the ones you just bought. As I walked toward the waiting cameras, I heard Isabella whisper, Our hotels serve her pastries? Not just yours, Marcus replied. Everyone's do. Your little baker cousin has been the invisible queen of luxury desserts for years. You just never bothered to notice. Sometimes the sweetest success is the kind that rises slowly, quietly while everyone else is looking the other way. And sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served fresh from the oven with a side of humble pie. I smiled at the cameras, ready to tell my story. Behind me, my family sat amidst the crumbs of their assumptions, finally tasting the truth about their simple baker daughter. The empire I'd built wasn't just made of flour and sugar. It was built on innovation, patience, and the sweet satisfaction of proving them all wrong, one perfect pastry at a time. The press conference was in full swing in my private test kitchen above the bakery. Through the glass floor, I could see my family still sitting shell-shocked at their table, watching the media frenzy unfold above them. "Ms. Martinez," a Forbes reporter asked, "how did you build this empire in secret?" I gestured to the state-of-the-art equipment surrounding us. "This little bakery has been a front for one of the largest culinary research and development facilities in the world. Every simple recipe I created here has been engineered with molecular precision." The cameras panned across my test kitchen, a space that looked more like a scientific laboratory than a bakery. Sophisticated analysis equipment, specialized ovens and computer modeling stations lined the walls. "Your patent for moisture-stable pastry cream revolutionized the industry," a Food Network host commented. "Yet your family thought you were just making custard?" I smiled, thinking of all the times they'd walked past this kitchen, never bothering to look closer. Sometimes being underestimated is the greatest advantage. While they saw a small-time baker, I was developing techniques that would transform global pastry science. My phone buzzed, the stock market had opened. On the screens behind me, Sweet Dreams Incorporated's newly public shares were soaring. "Ms. Martinez," another reporter called out, "sources say you've already received acquisition offers from major luxury conglomerates, including the Martinez Group," I confirmed, watching my father's face pale through the glass floor. "Though I think one family empire is enough for now." Sarah appeared with a tablet. "The Tokyo flagship store design is ready for approval. And Christian Diorcio wants to discuss the exclusive pastry line for their Paris boutiques." The reporters scribbled frantically. Through the floor I saw Isabella nearly faint. "Speaking of luxury partnerships," I continued, "we're launching our hotel division next month. Premium properties can now license our patents and techniques, for a fee of course." A message flashed across my phone. My family's hotel chain had just requested a licensing meeting. "But your most revolutionary patent," a culinary journalist interjected, "is the temperature-stable molecular reconstruction process. Can you explain how you developed that while maintaining a small bakery facade?" I moved to one of the lab stations where complex molecular diagrams filled multiple screens. Every morning I opened the bakery at 5 a.m. By 7 I'd completed the day's baking. Then while my family assumed I was playing with recipes, I was actually conducting advanced molecular gastronomy research with a team of food scientists. The cameras panned to the research team emerging from an adjacent lab, each wearing pristine white coats with the Sweet Dreams logo. "Dr. Martinez," my head scientist addressed me, using the title my family didn't know I had. "The results from the crystallization stability tests are ready." Mom's audible gasp echoed through the floor. "Doctor." A reporter jumped on the detail. "You have a PhD?" "3 actually," I replied, pulling up my credentials on the main screen. Molecular gastronomy from Le Cordon Bleu, food chemistry from MIT, and business innovation from Harvard. All completed while running my cute little bakery. Through the glass, I watched my father frantically Googling my name on his phone, discovering years of published research papers and industry accolades he'd never known about. "Your family's hotel chain," another journalist pressed. "They serve your patented pastries without knowing they were yours?" "Along with every other luxury hotel chain worldwide," I confirmed. "That simple croissant my cousin mocked this morning? The recipe sells for $50,000 per license. Per location." Isabella, still visible below, seemed to be hyperventilating. Sarah appeared again. "The Martinez Hotel Group is on line 1. Their board wants to discuss licensing fees immediately. Tell them my standard rate just doubled for family," I smiled. "And they'll need to reapply for all existing licenses under the new ownership structure." The reporters laughed. Through the floor I saw my father clutching his chest, probably calculating the costs. "One final question," the Forbes reporter said. "Why reveal everything now?" I walked to the glass floor, looking down at my family directly. Because sometimes success isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about showing them what they could have seen all along, if they'd just bothered to look closer. My phone buzzed again. Sweet Dream stock had jumped another 30%. On the screens behind me, footage played of our locations worldwide. Paris, Tokyo, Dubai, each one a testament to the empire I'd built while they weren't watching. "Now," I addressed the cameras, "who'd like to see what's really in my simple recipe book?" I pressed a button and the lab's hidden walls rotated, revealing thousands of patents, awards and scientific publications. Each one bore my name, each one worth millions, each one achieved while my family thought I was just baking cupcakes. Below, my mother had finally found my profile in Forbes' 40 Under 40 list from last year. The one she'd never bothered to read, too busy lamenting my wasted potential. Sarah approached with another message. The James Beard Foundation called. They're moving up your Lifetime Achievement Award ceremony. Tell them I'll be there, I said. Right after I finished teaching my family about the true value of a little bakery. Sometimes the biggest empires are built in plain sight, hidden behind flour-dusted aprons and humble storefronts. And sometimes the sweetest success is watching those who dismissed you finally taste the magnitude of their mistake. Through the glass floor, I watched my family's worldview crumble like one of my perfectly engineered pastries. Above, the cameras rolled, capturing the moment the simple baker revealed herself as a global culinary revolutionary. 1 month later, I stood in the grand ballroom of the Martinez Plaza Hotel, my family's flagship property, preparing for Sweet Dreams' global launch gala. The irony of the venue wasn't lost on anyone. The guest list, Ms. Martinez, Sarah handed me a tablet. Every major luxury brand CEO, 3 dozen Michelin-starred chefs, and the food critics from all major publications. I scrolled through the names, pausing at one addition. My family actually RSVP'd? All of them, she confirmed, though they requested a private meeting before the event. I checked my reflection in a mirrored wall. Gone was the flour-dusted apron, replaced by a custom Chanel suit. My little bakery uniform had served its purpose. Send them up, I said, surveying the ballroom. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above displays of my creations, each one a patented masterpiece of culinary science. Digital screens showcased our global locations, while molecular diagrams explained the groundbreaking techniques behind each recipe. The private elevator opened. My family emerged, looking considerably humbled after a month of watching their simple baker daughter revolutionize the luxury food industry. Elena, Dad started then stopped taking in the opulent scene. His own hotel transformed into a showcase of his daughter's empire. The licensing contracts are ready, I said, nodding to Sarah. Standard rate plus the family premium we discussed. Mom stepped forward. Sweetheart, we didn't come about the contracts. Isabella, notably missing her usual designer armor, clutched a magazine. You're on every cover. Forbes, Time, Business Weekly. She swallowed hard. They're calling you the queen of luxury gastronomy. Actually, I corrected, accepting a tablet from my chief of innovation, that title's a bit outdated. As of this morning, Sweet Dreams has expanded beyond pastries. I pulled up the announcement on the ballroom's massive screens. Sweet Dreams International acquires Luxury Restaurant Group, Global Beverage Consortium and Molecular Gastronomy Institute. Dad grabbed a nearby chair for support. Those are the largest food and beverage companies in the luxury sector? I finished. Yes. Along with the world's premier culinary research facility. I smiled slightly. Turns out all those years of playing with recipes built quite a war chest for acquisitions. The screens filled with images of my newest properties. Michelin-starred restaurants, exclusive beverage brands, cutting-edge research facilities. Each one now part of the empire I'd built from a little bakery. But how? Mom whispered. All those years in that small shop. The annual Peterson family reunion was in full swing at Uncle Richard's beachfront mansion in Newport, a $12 million testament to old money and older attitudes. The July sun sparkled off the Atlantic, almost as brightly as Aunt Margaret's Van Cleef and Arpels diamonds as she held court on the Brazilian ipewood veranda, passing judgment on the family's black sheep Amy. Look at him, she stage whispered to my cousin Victoria, her voice carrying deliberately across the deck like a perfectly aimed social dagger. Can't even afford a proper suit for a family gathering. Those boat shoes must be at least 3 years old. That's what happens when you abandon the family business for... What was it again, darling? Global logistics, I replied calmly, sipping my water while others enjoyed $2,000 bottles of Krug champagne. My worn Sperry boat shoes and simple linen shirt were a deliberate choice, though they didn't know that yet. The Patek Philippe watch hidden under my sleeve cost more than most of their cars. Uncle Richard emerged from his climate-controlled wine cellar, silver hair gleaming in the sunlight as he cradled a bottle of 1982 Lafite Rothschild like a newborn. "James, my boy. Still playing with cargo ships? How's that working out for you? Still chartering those little container vessels?" The assembled Peterson clan turned to watch the familiar ritual, the successful family members reminding the outsider of his place. They were quite a collection. Investment bankers in bespoke suits, real estate moguls dripping with casual luxury, hedge fund managers checking stock tickers on their Bulgari phones. Old money meeting new money with me apparently having no money. Cousin Rebecca adjusted her Hermes scarf, shooting me a pitying look. "James, darling, I know a wonderful headhunter. She specializes in career rehabilitation for people who've made unfortunate choices." "Business is growing," I said simply, watching the boats in the harbor below. One particular vessel hidden behind the marina's largest pier brought a slight smile to my face. 300 feet of maritime innovation that would soon shatter their carefully constructed social hierarchy. "Growing." Cousin Bradley snorted, adjusting his Rolex Daytona, the same model I'd declined when offered by the CEO of Rolex himself last month. "Last I checked, your little shipping company wasn't even listed on any major exchange. Meanwhile, my hedge fund just cleared $10 billion in assets. That's billion with a B, cousin, in case you've forgotten how to count the zeros." I nodded politely, remembering the meeting I'd had last week with Bradley's largest clients. They'd been very interested in moving their investments somewhere more innovative. My company's new automated logistics system had caught their attention, especially after it had revolutionized 3 major shipping routes. "James," my mother intervened, her tennis bracelet catching the light as she touched my arm, trying to be diplomatic, "we just worry about you. You had such promise at Harvard Business School before you quit to start this venture. Top of your class, offers from Goldman Sachs, McKinsey." "Quit is a strong word," I corrected, watching a flock of seabirds circle above the harbor. "I prefer to think of it as pursuing an opportunity. Sometimes the biggest opportunities don't come with prestigious letterheads." "Opportunity." Aunt Margaret's laugh tinkled like ice cubes in baccarat crystal. "Darling, opportunity is what you gave up. Richard offered you a vice presidency at Peterson Financial. Corner office, 7-figure bonus package, summer house allowance. Instead you're what? Chartering fishing boats? Moving cargo containers? Really, James, it's beneath the family name." "Something like that," I agreed mildly, checking my phone as a message came in. The captain's text was brief. "In position, sir. Ready when you are. All 28 crew members standing by. Helicopter fueled and waiting." Victoria sipped her champagne, her new engagement ring from some minor European prince catching the light. "At least tell me you've given up that ridiculous idea about autonomous shipping technology. What was it you called it? The future of maritime logistics." "The future is closer than you think," I replied, but Uncle Richard cut me off, swirling his wine with practiced sophistication. "You know, son, that offer still stands. Entry level now, of course. Can't have you jumping straight to VP after your experimental phase. But it's time to come back to the real business world. Learn the family business from the ground up like I did." I glanced at my watch, an apparently simple Philippe Dufour that had cost more than Uncle Richard's car, not that they'd recognize the brand. Only 10 existed in the world, and 3 of them belonged to tech billionaires who'd begged to invest in my company. "Actually, I should step out for a moment. Need to take a call about a delivery." "Delivery?" Victoria smirked, adjusting her Cartier bracelet. "What, someone's fishing rods getting shipped late? Or did one of your little containers fall off the boat?" "Not exactly," I replied, moving toward the deck's edge. "Though speaking of ships." Right on cue, a massive yacht began moving into view from behind the pier. Even from this distance, its scale was impressive. 300 feet of cutting-edge naval architecture, gleaming white against the blue water. Solar-powered panels glinted along its sides, and the helicopter pad on the upper deck looked ready for action. The boat made Uncle Richard's prized 80-foot luxury yacht look like a dinghy. "My word," Uncle Richard breathed, his wine forgotten. "That must be Jeff Bezos' new vessel. Or maybe that Saudi prince who was in the news. The one who bought that football team. Look at the lines on that boat," Bradley whistled, professional envy creeping into his voice. "Must be the new Larson model. I heard they only made 3, all sold to billionaires before construction even started. The yacht drew closer, its name becoming visible on the bow in elegant lettering hand-laid in gold leaf, Black Sheep. My phone rang. I answered on speaker, letting everyone hear. Mr. Peterson? This is Captain Martinez. Your yacht, Black Sheep, is ready for your inspection, sir. Shall we send the helicopter to collect you and your guests? The chef has prepared lunch for 30, and the submarine is ready for afternoon excursions. The sound of Uncle Richard's $1,000 wine bottle shattering on the deck was remarkably satisfying, almost as much as watching Aunt Margaret's diamond necklace catch on her silk scarf as she whirled to stare at me in shock. The veranda fell silent except for the gentle lapping of waves and the distant purr of the approaching helicopter. Aunt Margaret's champagne glass slipped from her manicured fingers, creating a spreading stain on her $12,000 Oscar de la Renta dress. Your yacht. Uncle Richard stammered, aged cognac dripping forgotten from his Italian loafers. That's impossible. That vessel must cost $380 million, I supplied casually, straightening my simple linen shirt. Plus another $40 million in custom technology upgrades. The autonomous navigation system alone cost more than your mansion. Bradley rushed to the railing, squinting at the magnificent vessel through designer sunglasses. But your shipping company, it's not even listed. Publicly listed, I corrected, watching the yacht's helicopter pad illuminate for landing. We went the private route. More efficient. Last valuation put us at roughly 18 billion. That's billion with a B, cousin, since you're so fond of counting zeros. Victoria's minor European prince nearly choked on his caviar. 18 billion? For a shipping company. For a maritime technology company, I explained as the sleek helicopter approached. Those ridiculous, autonomous shipping ideas? They've revolutionized global logistics. Our AI-driven navigation systems control 40% of international shipping lanes now. Every major port uses our automation software. My phone buzzed again. I put it on speaker. Mr. Peterson, Secretary of Transportation, is confirming dinner aboard tonight. The Chinese Maritime Minister asks if he could join as well. And Mr. Musk sent another acquisition offer. Decline Elon's offer, I replied, enjoying the way Uncle Richard's face paled at my casual dismissal of the world's richest man. Tell the secretary 7 o'clock is fine, and of course the minister is welcome. The chef knows their preferences. Mom sank into a teak deck chair, her tennis bracelet catching the light. But you live in that tiny apartment. Drive that old car? The apartment is the penthouse of a building I own, I said gently. The old car is a custom Porsche designed to look understated. I prefer to let my work speak for itself. The helicopter was circling now, its downdraft sending empty champagne flutes rolling across the deck. Captain Martinez's voice came through again. Sir, shall I send the tender to collect your guests? The submarine crew is standing by for the afternoon reef tour. Submarine? Aunt Margaret whispered weakly. A custom deep-sea exploration vessel, I nodded. Part of our marine research division. We're mapping underwater shipping routes that could revolutionize Pacific trade. The Japanese government is particularly interested. Uncle Richard found his voice, though it quavered slightly. The vice presidency offer is worth less than what I make in interest per hour, I finished kindly. Though I appreciate the sentiment. By the way, you might want to move your investments from Bradley's funds soon. His largest clients signed with us last week. Bradley's Rolex-adorned wrist went slack. What? They were quite impressed with our AI-driven investment algorithm, I explained. It's a side project really. Uses our shipping data to predict market trends. Hasn't been wrong yet. The helicopter touched down on Uncle Richard's lawn, its gleaming black surface emblazoned with my company's logo. The pilot stepped out, immaculate in a crisp uniform, and opened the cabin door with a bow. Sir, he called over the slowing rotors, the yacht's chef wants to know if your guests have any dietary restrictions for the caviar service. He's prepared almos, beluga, and the rare golden ostra you procured last month. Victoria's prince dropped his champagne flute. Golden ostra? That costs more than your title, I believe, I smiled. Though money isn't really the point. Success isn't about what you can buy, it's about what you can build. My phone chimed with another message. The assistant's voice was apologetic. Sir, Forbes needs to confirm some details for their cover story. They're calling it The Black Sheep Billionaire, How a Harvard Dropout Revolutionized Global Shipping. Also, the Nobel Committee in Economics sent their preliminary notification. Sunset painted the Atlantic gold as we stood on the Black Sheep's upper deck, the helicopter safely stowed below. The yacht's 300 feet of maritime innovation made Uncle Richard's prized vessel look like a bath toy from our vantage point. Behind us, staff in crisp uniforms served drinks worth more than my cousin's monthly car payments. More Macallan 1926, sir? The chief steward approached with a bottle worth over $2 million. Or perhaps the Louis XIII Black Pearl for your guests. The Macallan is fine, I replied, watching my family try to process their new reality. They sat scattered across custom-designed deck furniture, each piece worth more than their supposed generous job offer to me. Uncle Richard swirled his crystal glass, the same nervous gesture he'd used earlier but now tinged with understanding. James, about the vice presidency offer. Let's discuss something more interesting, I interrupted kindly. Like how your shipping insurance premiums tripled last month when we declined to provide our safety systems to your fleet. He nearly dropped his glass. That was you. Our AI navigation systems reduce accidents by 97%, I explained as a school of dolphins played in our wake. Insurance companies charge accordingly for ships not using our technology. Most major fleets signed with us months ago. Which is why, Bradley cut in, his hedge fund manager's mind finally catching up. Pacific shipping stocks plummeted last quarter. You disrupted the entire industry. Disrupted. I smiled, touching a hidden panel that transformed the deck's glass walls into information displays. We revolutionized it. Captain, show them the global network. The screens lit up with real-time data. Thousands of ships moving across the world's oceans, all guided by our quantum computers and AI systems. Each vessel represented millions in revenue, billions in cargo, and countless saved lives thanks to our safety protocols. Those red dots, I pointed to scattered ships moving erratically, are vessels still using traditional navigation. The blue ones are ours. Notice the difference in efficiency, fuel consumption, and safety records. Aunt Margaret squinted at the displays through her designer glasses. But how did you afford to develop all this? The startup costs alone. Remember that worthless algorithm I developed at Harvard? I asked. The one you all mocked when I left to start the company? Morgan Stanley offered $2 billion for it before we even launched. We declined. $2 billion. Victoria choked on her champagne. And you declined? Because we knew it was worth more, I nodded. Last month, Goldman Sachs offered $40 billion for just our AI division. We declined that too. The chief steward approached again. Sir, the Secretary of Transportation has arrived by helicopter. The Chinese maritime minister's vessel is requesting permission to dock alongside. Grant it, I said. And inform the chef we'll need the diplomatic menu tonight. I turned to my stunned family. Unless you'd prefer to dine back at Uncle Richard's? Nobody moved. The thought of returning to their previously impressive mansion now seemed laughably provincial. While we wait for our guests, I continued, perhaps you'd like a tour. The lower deck houses our quantum computing center. It's more powerful than most government facilities. Above us is the observation lounge with a glass bottom. You can watch whales pass beneath. The submarine bay is particularly interesting. James, Mom asked softly, why didn't you tell us? Would you have listened? I said. Every time I tried, you talked about real business and family traditions. So I built my own. My phone buzzed. Sir, Saudi fund offers $30 billion for a small stake. NASA wants our systems for Mars. Decline the Saudis, I said. Tell NASA we'll handle the lunar hub too. Bradley's hands shook. Our family fund is down 40% since your systems launched. 42%, I corrected. Traditional shipping is dead. I warned you last Christmas. The Chinese maritime minister's yacht pulled alongside ours, dwarfed by Black Sheep. I now own 51% of Peterson Financial, I said. Uncle Richard dropped his glass. Impossible. Our AI bought shares quietly, I explained. We'll modernize the company. Keep the name, family tradition. The U.S. Secretary of Transportation and the Chinese minister came straight to me. Mr. Peterson, the president loves your port modernization plan. Your AI has transformed trade routes, the minister added. In Mandarin, I replied, let's talk over dinner. Servers brought appetizers worth more than my cousin's salaries. James, Uncle Richard whispered, we were wrong about you. No, I said, signing documents. You were wrong about the future. The sun set as satellites tracked ships and quantum computers managed trade. I watched the end of old money and the rise of new innovation. Sometimes the black sheep becomes the captain of industry. And tonight I was sailing into the future. The Richardson family's annual business dinner was in full swing at the Plaza Hotel's private dining room. As usual, my siblings were competing to share their latest triumphs. Our tech division just landed a government contract, my brother James announced, adjusting his Rolex. While Richardson Real Estate just opened our 15th office, Sarah countered, her diamonds catching the light. Michael, the youngest before me, smirked. That's nice, but Richardson Medical just acquired 3 new hospitals. Then all eyes turned to me, Emily Richardson, the family disappointment. I took a small sip of wine, already knowing what was coming. So, Emily, Sarah's voice dripped with false concern, starting another new business venture? What is it this time? I dabbed my lips with the napkin, buying time as my phone silently buzzed in my lap. A message from my COO, final paperwork signed. All 3 acquisitions complete. Just a small investment firm, I replied quietly. Another failed venture? Sarah laughed. Like that coffee shop last year? The coffee shop that was actually a front to evaluate their company's spending habits. Every overpriced latte had revealed more about their financial weaknesses. Speaking of ventures, James cut in, did you hear about that mysterious Atlas Group that's been buying up companies in our sectors? They've been circling our territories for months. I hid my smile behind my wine glass. Atlas Group, my company's public face, carefully separated from my real empire through layers of holding companies and shell corporations. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about, Michael waved his hand dismissively. Richardson Medical is too strong to be threatened. My phone buzzed again, transfer of ownership complete. You now control all 3 Richardson companies. Actually, I set down my glass, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Sarah rolled her eyes. Please, Emily. What would you know about real business? You can barely keep your little investments afloat. Those little investments just bought all 3 of your companies, I replied calmly. The silence that fell over the table was absolute. What are you talking about? James stammered. I pulled out my tablet, sliding it across the table. Atlas Group is a subsidiary of Phoenix Holdings, which is owned by ER Enterprises. I paused. Pie company. That's impossible, Michael whispered, staring at the documents. Atlas Group is worth billions. 4.6 billion to be exact. I smiled. Though that's just the public division. The private holdings are worth considerably more. Sarah grabbed the tablet, her perfectly manicured hands shaking. These documents, they're dated today. As of 3 minutes ago, I confirmed, I own Richardson Real Estate, Richardson Medical and Richardson Technologies. Complete ownership, not just controlling interest. But your failed businesses. James sputtered. Or market research. Every failure taught me more about your company's vulnerabilities. I leaned forward. The coffee shop showed me how your employees really feel about management. The boutique revealed your cash flow problems. The consulting firm gave me access to your client lists. Dad will never allow this, Michael declared. Dad retired last year, I reminded them. And his golden children just sold their birthrights because they were too arrogant to notice who was really buying their shares. My phone buzzed one final time, new signage being installed now. If you'll excuse me, I stood, smoothing my simple dress. I have 3 companies to restructure. Oh, and you might want to check your email. HR will be contacting you about your new positions. Those of you who still have positions, that is. You can't do this, Sarah protested. We're family. Funny, you didn't consider me family when you banned me from board meetings. When you mocked my little ventures. When you told clients not to work with me. I gathered my things. Consider this a hostile takeover. Emphasis on hostile. As I reached the door, I turned back one last time. Oh, and Sarah? That corner office you're so proud of? I want it cleaned out by tomorrow. It's mine now. The door closed behind me on their stunned silence. Outside, my driver waited with my real car, not the modest sedan they thought I drove. To the office, Ms. Richardson? Yes, I replied, checking the time. The new office. The one with my name on it. The next morning, I sat in Sarah's former corner office, now mine, watching the new Enterprises signs being installed across all 3 Richardson buildings. The city skyline offered a perfect view of my siblings' crumbling empires. Ma'am, my executive assistant Claire entered with a stack of reports. The transition teams are in place. And your siblings have been quite vocal about their new circumstances. I imagine they have. I opened my laptop to view the security feeds. Sarah was having a meltdown in the HR department. James was arguing with security about his access card. Michael was trying to rally his former board members, who now worked for me. My phone buzzed continuously with family messages. James, this is corporate theft. Sarah, you can't just take everything we built. Michael, Dad will hear about this. Mom, please Emily, be reasonable. Their email access has been revoked, Claire reported. Though Sarah tried to delete some interesting files before we cut her off. Our tech team is recovering them now. Anything incriminating? Very. Apparently, Richardson Real Estate has been falsifying property valuations. James's tech division has been inflating government contracts. And Michael's hospitals. She paused. Let's just say the audit team will be busy. I smiled, remembering all the times they'd lectured me about proper business practices. Should I call security for Sarah? She's threatening to barricade herself in your office. No need. I checked the time. Her credit cards should be declined right about. On the security feed, Sarah's face crumpled as her corporate cards were declined at the building's coffee shop. Their corporate accounts? I asked. Frozen, Claire confirmed. Along with their expense accounts, company cars, and building access. Though Michael is still trying to enter the medical center through the service entrance. My phone rang, Dad's number. Hello, Father, I answered calmly. What the hell do you think you're doing? He demanded. Business, I replied. The way you taught us, aggressive, strategic, and absolute. By destroying your siblings' companies? By saving them, I corrected. Would you like to see the audit reports? The falsified documents? The creative accounting? Your golden children were running these companies into the ground. Silence on the line. How? He finally asked. How did you manage this without anyone knowing? Remember when you said I'd never understand real business? That my little ventures were embarrassing the family name. I turned to watch another Richardson sign being replaced with my company's logo. I learned from that. Built something bigger than you ever imagined while you were all too busy mocking my failures to notice my success. The Atlas Group. That was you all along? Atlas Group, Phoenix Holdings, Enterprises, I own them all. Built from nothing while your precious heirs were living off the companies you gave them. Claire appeared with more reports. The board members are ready for your announcement. I have to go, Dad. Unlike your other children, I actually run my companies. I paused. Oh, and about the family estate, you might want to check who bought it at auction last month. The new owner is planning some renovations. I hung up as Claire pulled up the company-wide video conference. On various screens, I could see my siblings being escorted from their former buildings, their personal items in cardboard boxes. Ready for the announcement? Claire asked. Almost. I straightened my designer suit, no more playing down my success. First, send severance packages to the worst offenders. Sarah's yes men, James's cronies, Michael's enablers. I want them all gone by lunch. And your siblings? I smiled, watching Sarah try to use her corporate credit card one last time. Send them each a copy of their company's real financial reports. Let them see exactly how badly they've failed. I paused. And schedule a family dinner for Sunday at my house. The mansion I bought from Sarah last year when her secret debts forced her to sell. That's rather cruel, Claire observed with a slight smile. No, cruel was them mocking every business I started. Cruel was being excluded from family functions for being unsuccessful. Cruel was watching them run our father's legacy into the ground while believing they were business geniuses. My phone buzzed with another family text, a group message this time. Sarah, we need to talk. James, you can't do this to us. Michael, the board will never accept you. Mom, please, let's discuss this as a family. I typed back a single response. Check your new employee handbooks. Chapter 1. How to Succeed Without Family Connections. The board is waiting, Claire reminded me. I stood, straightening my nameplate on what was once Sarah's desk. Time to show them what real business leadership looks like. On the security feeds, my siblings were finally leaving the buildings. Their buildings, my buildings. James was trying to keep his Rolex from the asset recovery team. Sarah was sobbing into her designer handbag. Michael was threatening legal action to increasingly disinterested security guards. One last thing, I told Claire. Have their personal items delivered to their homes. Except for Sarah's awards, James's plaques, and Michael's certificates. Those can go to my new office, as reminders of what happens when you mistake inheritance for success. The board members' faces appeared on my screen, ready for their new CEO's first address. Behind them, the last Richardson signs were being replaced with my company's logo. Time to show my family what their failed sister could really do. 1 week later, I sat in my executive boardroom, reviewing the true scope of my siblings' mismanagement. The audit reports read like a manual on corporate incompetence. The numbers are worse than we thought, Claire reported, displaying spreadsheets across the wall screens. Sarah was using company funds to maintain her influencer lifestyle. James had 7 unofficial consulting accounts. And Michael. She paused. Let's just say the medical board will be very interested in our findings. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing with family messages. Sarah, my social media sponsors are dropping me. James, the government contracts are under review. Michael, the medical board wants a meeting. Mom, your father hasn't slept in days. Their personal accounts? I asked. Nearly empty, Claire confirmed. Turns out they were all living on corporate funds. Sarah's mansion has 3 mortgages. James's Ferrari was bought with misappropriated tech division money. Michael's summer house was funded by hospital kickbacks. I smiled, remembering their constant boasts about their business acumen. The press is having a field day, Claire continued, pulling up news headlines. Richardson Empire falls to mystery sister. Failed entrepreneur reveals billion-dollar secret. Family business drama. How the black sheep became the wolf. Any word from their lawyers? They can't afford lawyers anymore, Claire smirked. Though Sarah tried to hire one with her emergency credit card, which we cancelled. The intercom buzzed. Ms. Richardson? Your siblings are here. All of them. I checked the security feed. They looked terrible. Sarah's designer clothes wrinkled, James's perfect hair disheveled, Michael's arrogant posture deflated. Send them in, I decided. Time for their performance reviews. They shuffled in like chastened schoolchildren, a far cry from their usual confident struts. Sit, I commanded, not looking up from my reports. Emily, Sarah's voice quivered, please, my sponsors are dropping you because they've discovered your lifestyle was funded by embezzlement? I finished. As I know. The SE knows too. James stepped forward. The government contracts are under federal investigation. I cut him off. Those unofficial consulting accounts weren't as hidden as you thought. Eye hospitals, Michael began, are being audited by the medical board, I interrupted. Those kickbacks left quite a paper trail. They sat in stunned silence as I pulled up their financial records on the wall screens. Let's review your performances as executives, shall we? I stood pacing before the displays. Sarah, you turned Richardson Real Estate into your personal ATM. James, you treated government contracts like a shell game. Michael, you made healthcare fraud an art form. We can explain, Sarah pleaded. To the authorities, I replied calmly. They're very interested in your explanations. You're going to have us arrested? Michael whispered. No, I smiled. I'm going to do something much worse. I'm going to make you work for your money. Claire distributed 3 folders. What's this? James asked, opening his. Your new employment contracts. Entry-level positions. Real jobs, not executive titles you got by being born. Entry-level. Sarah looked horrified. But I was CEO of A company you ran into the ground, I finished. These positions reflect your actual qualifications, not your family connections. This is humiliating, Michael muttered. More humiliating than facing federal charges? I raised an eyebrow. The choice is yours. Work for me, learn real business practices, or face the consequences of your actions. My phone buzzed, Dad requesting a meeting. One more thing, I turned back to them. Sunday dinner will now be held at my house. The mansion I bought when Sarah's secret debts forced her to sell. Black tie attire, if you can still afford it. Why are you doing this? Sarah asked, tears smudging her expensive mascara. Because 5 years ago you all laughed when I started my first company. 4 years ago, you excluded me from family functions for being unsuccessful. 3 years ago, you told clients not to work with me. I sat back down. Now you work for me. Consider it a lesson in real business practices. And Dad? James asked quietly. Can watch his precious heirs learn what real success looks like. I nodded to Claire. Have security escort them to HR. And Sarah? I called as they stood to leave. That corner office you loved so much? I'm turning it into a storage room. As the door closed behind them, Claire brought in more reports. Their company credit cards are being shredded as we speak, she reported. Though Sarah tried to make one last purchase at your old coffee shop. The one they mocked as a failed venture? I laughed. How fitting. My phone buzzed one final time, a family group text. Mom, please come to dinner tonight. We need to talk. Sarah, I had to move back home. James, they're repossessing my Ferrari. Michael, the medical board wants all my records. I typed back, sorry, too busy running 3 companies. But I'll see you Sunday in the mansion that used to be Sarah's. Dress appropriately. Your new employee handbooks have guidelines for proper business attire. Outside my office, 3 new entry-level employees headed to orientation, learning their first lesson about real business. Success isn't inherited, it's earned. And I had earned every bit of mine.